name's Jim Moran, and thanks very much for joining us for Our Measurements Killing Us? You can reach me at jim@simplifyiso.com or over here on our website with this handy contact button. The material in this video comes from a document called Tactics for Getting Started, written by John Seddon. This is from his program on process improvement, systems thinking, and you can find it at vanguard-method.net. It's all about customer focus, all about customer service, all about reducing the crud in workflow. He uses Toyota Production System for services, and he also uses a lot of information from W. Edwards Deming, Out of the Crisis. We need to understand that, first of all, that customers define value. We can imagine how much value we have built into our product or service, but it's our customer who is ultimately going to decide what quality is and define value. So we need to begin by mapping out the workflow from the time the customer calls till the money for that order goes into the bank. This is what Taiichi Dono did when he was working with Toyota. He was still there at the age of 82 and still doing the same thing, looking for ways to reduce the time between when the customer called and when the money for that order went in the bank. So we need to look at what are the customer transaction points. Then ask two questions. One, what are we measuring now? And two, what decisions are made from these measurements? Worst case scenario, we're taking lots of measurements. I've worked with organizations with over 300 KPIs, key performance indicators, and only a handful were ever used for making business decisions. All that time, all that effort, and the results of the effort weren't being used to further the organization and to improve the customer's experience, to improve the customer satisfaction index. Are we measuring just simply activities? Are we measuring simply productivity? How do these things help us find ways to improve the customer experience? What we should be measuring is the service delivery level that our customers care about. Another thing too, it doesn't matter if we're delivering a service really terrifically well if our customers really don't care about that service being delivered well. Are we measuring our capability in the areas that can impact customers? So once we determine what these points are, the critical contact points, once we figure out a way to measure them, we now have to look at another idea. Think about what measurements might be more valuable to help us understand and improve our customers' experience at each transaction point, or at least at the transaction points that we learn that our customers really care about. This brings us to a possible whole new approach. I'll just give you one story to kind of give you an idea of how this could work. In the 80s, Toyota designed a new van. You might remember it. It looked kind of like a jelly bean with wheels. They actually sent an engineer over to North America, where they were selling the best, and had an engineer ride around with people who have purchased the vehicle and watched how they used it. Took all this information back to Toyota, and they made refinements over the next few design models. They were actually watching the customer use it, finding out how they were feeling about lever positions, knob positions, mirror positions, the seat, how comfortable was the seat, was the recliner in the right angle, and could it be put into a comfortable position? All kinds of things. So actually watching the customer use the product after the sale is a good way to find out what's important to the customer as well. So this might bring us to more of Seddon's idea, a new approach, starting with knowledge of demand, but in customer terms. Another thing to think about is getting a focus on only doing value-added work. but not value added in our minds, value added in the mind of the customer. And finally, measuring achievement of purpose. We'll be going a little bit deeper into some of these ideas on May 26th, 2020 at noon Eastern Daylight Time. We'll be looking at an ISO standard called ISO 10004, customer satisfaction, monitoring, and measuring. Hope you can be there. Down below this video, you'll see a link to the sign-up form for this free webinar, and there's some information there about the workshop on ISO 10004 as well. Thanks very much for taking a look, and I hope you can join us next time for Let's Start to Question Our Processes. Bye for now.